Good morning, welcome to Planet Mojo. I've been pouring concrete for the tiny house addition for about a week now, maybe 10 days. And today I'm going to do a quick little video showing you what's going on. This is where I keep the concrete form tubes, and once I have a dimension from up there, I come down and cut them here. So say I need 36 inches of tube, I make a mark at 36 inches, and then I bring it over here and put that pen right up to the mark, clamp it on with this little spring clamp, and then slowly turn the tube until I have a line all the way around. And then I take the circular saw. It's set real shallow, probably a ½ inch. And then I take the tube, put it on the floor, and start cutting and roll it towards me until it cuts all the way. And then I bring the tube back up there and get it leveled in the hole, which is what I'm going to do right now. That inner tube right there, that's 4 feet, and I'm hoping that the tube it goes into is long enough. I need to go, well, it probably isn't, but I'm going to try it anyways. If it's not, I'll have to cut another piece for the bottom. What I got to do is put that down in the hole over the rebar here, and actually there's about 8 inches of footing down there, so that probably will just work. I need to get the tube up to the height of the batter boards and get it dead level. I'm going to hold it in place with a couple pieces of lumber and screw through the inside of the tube, and once it's in the exact right position and dead level, I start filling around it, and I keep checking the position and the level until I get the gravel all the way to the top of the hole, and we'll just have a little bit sticking out, should be about 18 inches. And at that point, I can start filling it. Let me show you what we got down in the hole right now. That down there is the footing. I poured that yesterday, and it's 5,000 pound concrete, so it's ready to go for the tube part. The tube, once that's in place, there'll be about 4 inches between the tube and the side walls. That gets filled with gravel. And underneath this, I can show you a picture of that. I took pictures yesterday. The rebar goes down to the tops of these blocks right here, and it bends out, and then that's all encased in concrete. So the rebar does not go on the outside of the concrete anywhere. All right, right now these are at a rough height. I got a measure to where the top of the tube will go, and I'm going to go down 3 inches, cut these off, and I'll put this ring a little below that, and then we can start putting that tube on here and getting that positioned. In the end, we're going to end up with this. This one, I use a concrete calculator, and to fill the tube was like 0.2 of a bag of concrete, so I went with another full bag because I have no place to really put it and store it, and that's what was left in the mixer. On later ones, I've been filling it less, but I'm going to fill this one all the way to the top. I'll just go with an extra bag like that and spill it on the ground a little bit if I need to. So let's get that stuff done, and we'll try to film a little bit of the concrete mixing and stuff, but that's super hard to film because you gotta work fast. You're putting the bags in here, and then as soon as it's mixed up, you gotta pour it. As soon as you pour it, you have to clean the inside of the mixer because it sets up quick. And already, after the few holes that I poured, already this has concrete sticking on stuff on the inside. I mean, it's not bad. These things get really, really bad after a while. But regardless, you have to move quick, and there's not a lot of time for setting up cameras and stuff. So I'm going to try to set up the tripod to show I get all the bags staged right here. This is probably going to be 12 or 13 bags of concrete. I get them set up over there. This thing will only mix 3 bags at a time. So I have to make all these batches, and it has to be cleaned between the batches. And you use that water as the water for the next batch until you're at the last batch. Then when you pour the last batch, you just clean it right away and turn it upside down like this. But during the pours, as soon as you're done pouring, you clean it out, and if you do it right, that water is the beginning water for the next batch. And that would be 4 batches or maybe 5 batches for this. If it's 13 bags, I'll do 4 batches of 3 bags plus a little bit to make up the extra bag. I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's get this rebar cut and move that ring down, and then we'll get these tubes on top of it. Okay, I took my 4-foot level on the batter board, brought it out this way, measured down about 3 inches, which came to right there. I'm just going to cut all of these off right below the hoop, and then we'll unwrap the hoop and put it back on right down here somewhere, another 3 inches or so, and then we'll get the tube on there and start messing with that. All right, these strings are at the top of the tube level, but I'm going to double check this way. 52 inches. All right, now I'm going to go on to, I'll give the link to the concrete place. They have a really cool little app. Well, let me show you. We got 52 inches of 16-inch tube, and I'm going to go with 16.5 for the tube. It's construction calculators, and we'll enter the 52. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this, and I'm going to go with 16.5 and calculate. It's about a 1/4 yard, 14 bags on the dot. And that should come out to be a tiny bit more than what I need, but I want to actually fill this to the top. Right there. 14 bags. Oh, and it has 40, 60, and 80 pound bags on here. I should mention that the calculation came to, what was it, a little over 4 bags for the footer down there, and I've been using 5 bags. So I'll have to calculate that and see how thick it is, but I believe it's 10 or 11 inches thick, something like that. That's a thick, heavy-duty footer. And I showed you the picture of what it looks like down below that, so don't need to do that. All right, let's get this tube on there. We'll just drop the little one down into the hole, put the other one into it, and then we'll get some boards over here and screw it to it in the exact spot that it's going to go, and then we'll start to fill this. All right, now I'm going to put a string on here, the center line string, and we're going to get this to just below the height that it needs to be, and then we'll put some shims under these until it's exactly the right height, and we'll get it nice and level as well, and then we'll start backfilling the hole and adjust it as we go. Once it's past the tube down there, we can take these outriggers off and adjust it from there. And by the time we're done backfilling this, we got to backfill this whole area as well. This is down, oh, I don't know, it's like 10 inches in some places, because when he backfilled this area, this is 100% gravel over here, and then it tapers towards the hill. This was undisturbed ground at the bottom, but along the sides, it's backfill. But as long as we have undisturbed ground at the bottom, it'll be just fine. Okay, let's get these boards attached and get this level and in the right place. See how many screws I dropped down in there. Wow. Pretty good. Okay, I got it pretty close. It's not level. In the end, I want it dead level. The height is not as important as level, and I want it in the right position. So I'm going to take off this string. Well, I'm actually just going to move it, and I'm going to put my strings in for the outside of the tube, and we'll go back and forth between that and level until we get it exactly right. Yeah, let's see how this is positioned. I had all of my concrete set up on my workbench, and then I realized I was in the way of my line here. If you didn't watch the batter board video, I'll try to link to it right here, but you can find it on the channel. This locates the hole that I have to dig for each tube. It locates the tube when I place the tube, and it locates the rebar. Is that it? It actually does 4 things. Oh, and it locates the height of the tube. So if you haven't seen that video, I recommend going back and seeing it. Now, I want to check, just to double check. We're right on it right there. And we're a bazillimeter off of it, about 1/8 of an inch, which is fine. The brackets are not wet set. The brackets are bolted in place, so the bracket will go on top of these, and then there's going to be a shim in the bottom of the bracket that'll adjust for any height difference between all the tubes. And that's about it. Once this is nice and square, the framing, then I can bolt it down. Okay, so we're good that way. And we're good that way. Yeah, just between me picking up the camera and now, this has went off just a bit, but that really doesn't matter. As I fill the hole, I'll be tweaking this, and once you get past a certain point, which is going to be past that bottom tube, it'll lock in place and I can just fill it the rest of the way up. So let's get a little bit of gravel in here and get this locked in, and we're getting close to pouring. You got to be real gentle with the gravel. Just put a little bit in at a time and work your way around the tube. Don't put it all in one spot. Right now, all we're doing is locking that bottom tube in place. So it's not super critical, but you still want to do this. Okay, we're up to the top of that lower ring, and I re-leveled it, added a little bit of shimming to this side, and we're a little bit less than an 1/8. Well, we're at about a 1/16. We were at an 1/8 before, and this side is just touching, and we are dead level. So now I'm going to go up, maybe 6 or so inches. I'm going to cover the top of that bottom tube. Then we'll check it again and we'll adjust if needed, and then just slowly work our way up until we get like a little more than a foot over the bottom ring. And then it should be pretty good the rest of the way up. We'll just check it every once in a while. Okay, got about a foot to go, and then I gotta rake some more up here because this area is a little too high in the gravel. And we are dead on that way and dead on that way. Strings are still the same, so I can speed it up now, and we'll get these boards out of there when we get to the top, and we will be ready to pour in no time. Do a final check on our level. Dead on, and dead on. So it really looks like it's gonna rain. It's not supposed to, but it looks like it. I'm gonna go check the weather real quick. If it is gonna rain, I can put a tarp over this and go way out there and weight it down, and then the water will wash out that way and it'll never make it back to the tube. You don't want to get these tubes wet. You want to get the concrete poured and then let the concrete set right away. They'll be fine that way, but if they get wet and they sit in the wet, it'll destroy them. Okay, we are ready to go. Let me show you my setup here. I have my concrete vibrator on the back side here. This will not be in this position when I vibrate it. The tube will be clear, and I'll shove that down into the concrete and turn it on. You'll see that in just a minute. The reason I have this in dumping position is you want to check it from the far side and make sure you're centered. If you're a little bit off, it's going to spill a bunch of concrete outside of the tube. And you want to be in the right position so that as you're tipping it, it doesn't shoot it past the tube, but you do want to make sure that you can dump it right into the tube. A little bit's going to be stuck in there, so I have this trowel right here, and I trowel it out of there. Okay, what else? We got water right here. We start off with a certain amount of water. I'll show you that again in a second. And this is my splitting bar. Yeah, this bag got cut open while I was opening up that pallet. It's the first time I've done that. So you have your bar here, and then you have a bag on top of it, like that. Kind of hard to do with one hand, right like that. And then you split the bag. Doesn't matter if it's right on the bar, but do it down the middle. Split the bag, and then you lift up on the rebar. Let me see if I can do this with one hand and a knee. And then you shift it a little bit until you got just plastic down the middle, and then you split that plastic with your knife, and then you only have to handle 2 30-pound bags instead of 1 60-pound bag. I'll show you that in action in a little bit. As soon as I get these 2 in, I'm going to add a bit of water, and I'm just going to split this a little more and dump this one in as is. I can't split it down the middle because it's going to leak with that cut down the side there. At any rate, we need to add some water. Oh, and this will only handle 3 bags at a time. So we got 1, 2, 3, and then the next 3, the next 3, and then 3 there, and then the last one is going to be 2. The last batches I mix quite a bit drier. It's harder on the machine, but it's a lot better for the pour. So those last 5 bags are going to be a good deal drier than the ones before that. Take a look down in here. You could see a little bit of gravel and a little bit of the dust from this down around the edges that fell through when I was filling this. That's going to mix with the concrete and become concrete. Concrete has a bit of fines and a bit of gravel. Well, it's, in this case, it's pea gravel and sharp stone, but a little bit of this gravel is just going to mix in and become part of the concrete. Okay, once I start doing this, I can't stop until I'm done, and it's going to be really hard to video, but I'm going to give it a shot. Like I said, I got to do a bunch of cleanings and all kinds of stuff as I'm going, and concrete waits for nobody. it starts setting up right away. That's how you get stuff like this. And this 5,000-pound concrete is very, very hard to get off of something once you get it on and it's dry. So we'll see how good of a job we do with the filming, but for now, let's get some water in this. I don't need this string here. I don't think it's going to move anywhere, but it's nice to have just in case if it starts shifting. These can also buckle a little bit. I don't think it's going to buckle at all. That's why we're using the drier mix. But if it does, I can shift that top part around just a little bit and get it back to within tolerance. Okay, so in my case, I'll be filling it with water just a little bit past the seam here. And then the first bag I can dump in there pretty quick, and the second bag too. But the third bag, I fine tune it so that I don't get a watery mix. I want a fairly stiff mix, but a little bit less stiff on the first couple. All right, let's get going on this. Got to turn it so that the arrow is lined up with the hinge here. Now that is the water for the next batch, and like I said, we just keep doing that until the very last batch. So put your bag on the rebar, cut it all the way across. I put the rebar a little bit wrong. Lift it up until you see the nice white plastic, and you got to try not to cut into the side of the bag. All right, so with that one cut, turn this on. forgot to turn the barrel. That's just so that the mixing paddles are not in your way. Okay, on this one, I'm going to add some water to this, and then we'll come back and we'll vibrate it. And that spreads the concrete out and gets rid of a lot of the bubbles. Okay. Lather, rinse, repeat. Last pour. Now technically this should be a little too much, but it's looking like it's pretty close. No, it's going to be a little too much, which is fine. Alright, I'm going to vibrate that. Well, maybe I'll just put a little more in and then vibrate it. It'll go over the edge, but that's okay. Got a little bit left in there in case we need it, but I don't think so. Vibrating it gets rid of the air, so it should sink down a little bit. Vibrator is not vibrating. Damn it. This is a Vivor vibrator, and they make the cheapest shit in the world. Yep, that's gonna do it. All right, let's get this cleaned out and then we'll come back and do a little bit of stuff with this and that'll wrap it up. Okay, that's about it. Each one of these piers is 2 pours. One is the foundation that is 4 inches bigger in diameter than the tube itself, and the second one is the tube. The foundation is 5 bags of concrete, 5 60-pound bags, and in this case this was 14 bags, so this tube right here, or this pier, was 19 bags of concrete altogether, and those are 5,000-pound concrete. The reason for that is so I can pour it the next day. With 3,500-pound concrete, you should wait a good 3 days to pour, and I don't have the time for that. You could see some of these tubes, well, most of them, every one, well, that one too. That one was to the top, and oh, that one's still at the top, but like this one here, that was up to here, and I'm guessing that just shrunk down. I don't know, but it really doesn't matter in the end. That one, I know that one was whatever 0.2 bags of concrete, and I just said screw it, I'm not going to put 0.2 bags in there, so that's 0.2 bags, plus it shrunk down a little bit, and that could be from air escaping as well, air bubbles, because this is a long tube. Even though I did vibrate it pretty good, that might have been a bit of air escaping. That one's the worst right there, but like I said, it does not matter. The brackets that are going to hold up the framing are really deep. They're made for pole barns and stuff, so the brackets are going to be cut, the ears are going to be cut at the top specifically for the tube that they're going on, and each one of the brackets is going to have a shim at the bottom, which I'll make on my planer, which I worked on all last winter. So in the end, all of the framing is going to be dead nuts at the exact same height. I'm going to take the laser, spin it around, and get the measurements on every tube, and I'm going to make the spacer and cut the bracket specifically for them. These are all 12-inch tubes. There's 4 of them, and these are 5.5 inches shorter than the 16-inch tubes. This is going to have a laminated 4x6 going across, a treated laminated 4x6, and the floor joists are going to rest on that as they go across. I probably could have used 2x10s for the floor framing, but I really didn't want to deal with them. Probably should have, but it's too late now. Okay, I am not going to film the smoothing of this top. I'll come back in about a half hour and then get those edges, make sure there's no little stones hanging around on the edges. See, I want this water to flash off first, and I'll fill in any bubble holes and all that stuff, get it as smooth as possible. Doesn't have to be perfect, just like this will do, and that will be it for that tube. And like I said, I got 1, 2, 3 more tubes to go. They're all 12-inch, and the outside, the perimeter ones, are 16-inch. Yeah, I can't wait till this is done. Okay, I don't know what the next video will be, so keep watching, and you'll be as surprised as I am. So make sure you subscribe and click on the update icon. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you put them in the comment section below. And if you share the video and or give it a like, it helps the channel out greatly. Thanks for watching and have a great day.